What's it like building an app? And what should you expect from your app creation journey, especially if it's your first time? Hello and welcome. My name is Dale Richards, CEO of App Creative, an app development company on the Silicon Slopes of Utah. We're on a mission to build apps that change the world. If you want to build apps, grow your SaaS business, and make money doing cool software entrepreneur-related stuff, start now by subscribing and hitting the bell. Building an app, especially if it's your first time, is kind of like navigating an obstacle course blindfolded. You're going to enter a world full of unknowns with new terms you'll need to know, and you can check out our glossary for that if you'd like. Consider what Steve Jobs once said, simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean to make it simple, but it's worth it in the end because once you get there, you can move mountains. Apple got its name because Steve Jobs went to an apple orchard in Oregon. But if we look a little bit deeper into the name, there's more to it, more than meets the eye. An apple has two main functions, but they're so elegantly packaged that you would barely notice them. An apple carries carbohydrates that can be eaten and used as energy, and it also has seeds that can then germinate and grow into more trees. And these two functions seem simple, but if you look closer, there is a lot at play. For those processes to work, an apple blossom needs to be pollinated by a bee. The pollinated blossom then draws nutrients from the tree, and the tree draws nutrients from the trunk and the roots in the ground. But not just any nutrients, specific nutrients, which are then converted into fructose, giving apples their sweet flavor. An outer peel layer needs to be developed to prevent the apple from drying out in the sun. Once the outer layer is developed and the apple grows to size, it produces hormones that cause it to ripen and fall from the tree. Well, how does an apple know to do all of that? Well, it's been programmed into the fruit's genetics so that certain processes happen at the right times. And that's a lot of complexity for something so simple. The same is true for apps. It takes a lot of effort to work through the complexity of simplicity. Which brings us to number 2, expect effort. Grant Cardone wrote in his book, The 10X Principle, that people most often fail by severely underestimating what it will take in terms of actions, resources, money, and energy to accomplish the target, and underestimating the amount of adversity you will need to overcome in order to actually attain your desired goal. Don't be afraid of the app being complex, of putting yourself out there to learn something new, to put yourself into the tech world. All these things will serve to help you grow and get better along with your company. So what's going to happen is that you're going to get into the complexity of your app, and you're going to try to sort through the details, the mechanics of making your features happen, and you're going to realize this is a lot of work, and you're going to spend a lot of time. You're going to put in a lot of work, and so you need to expect that the amount of effort that you're putting into honing the features of your app, really defining them, designing them, creating them, is going to take more effort than you thought. And according to Grant Cardone, it might take you 10 times as much as you originally thought. So expect that to happen. There's going to be a lot of work and a lot of effort from you. Number 3, expect to make mistakes. Building an app is not just about the app itself. You're building an interface that will be used by hundreds, if not thousands of different people. Like, even your development team will have different brains working together. You need to look at market needs, validate your app, define your user experience, think through the logic, look at the architecture, work on the code, and much more. So mistakes are going to happen. There are so many opportunities for mistakes. You'll need to be okay with some setbacks, even financial ones. Your goal is not to avoid mistakes, but to make small mistakes quickly and learn from them rather than making big mistakes that leave you dead in the water. It's called fast failure. Let's say that you have $50,000. It's much better to make a $5,000 mistake and still have $45,000 to then recover from that mistake and move forward. But if you wait until after you spent all of $50,000 to realize you just made a huge mistake, then you're out of your $50,000. So what you want to do is you want to make smaller mistakes faster, sooner. That's the principle of fast failure that we just mentioned. Number 4, expect to tie up loose ends. Developers don't do well with ambiguity. They program in a world of logic. Think of building a robot. Like, the most advanced robots today have multiple joints to duplicate human movement and function. They have complicated sensors to measure pressure, force, and speed. We don't think about those things as humans since we move naturally without thinking about it. Leaving things up to the developers to just figure out is going to create a lot of confusion, which will require discussion, resolution, planning. All of this takes time. All of this costs money. You're paying the developers for their time. It will cost you money. That's why it's better to invest in definition and design activities upfront, like user story writing, requirements gathering, and UX design. Number 5, expect to review a lot of details. At some point while creating your app, you'll realize that some detail wasn't addressed earlier, and it now stands in front of you, preventing progress. With the app, the code, the content, you'll need to spend time combing through requirements, user stories, mockups, content, copy, code, just looking for all the instances of ... the one thing that somehow got messed up. So you're going to spend a lot of time combing through things with a fine-tooth comb. Try to find smart ways to address these issues systematically and cheerfully. Your painstaking, tedious detail work won't last forever. Eventually, you'll move through those obstacles. That's it for today. 5 things to expect on your app creation journey. Make sure you subscribe. We'll see you next time here on App Creative.